All right, guys, I'm Pat Clark. I'm going to be talking about business systems. So we're going to be talking about kind of the basics today because, I mean, we can get into some crazy systems. I'm going to tell you some things that really were key points in my business as I started growing and scaling and running into a lot of headaches. I can tell you, you guys are going to learn from my mistakes today, right? So you're not going to run into these things later on, hopefully. So with business systems, we had to put a lot in place. I didn't know anything about business. I talked about this yesterday when starting it, right? And so let's jump into it. And so what is a business system? This was a big thing for me because I was, you got YouTube, you got Facebook, you got a lot of mentors in the industry, and they're like, dude, he's got systems. And I'm like, what the heck is a system? Like, you know what I mean? Like, some people are talking about these different systems, and I'm like, what is a system, right? And so we're going to dive into that here. So what is a system? A little technical difficulty. Oh no. There we go. All right, so the definition is a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done, an organized framework or method. Okay? And so how we do what we do. So you probably have a system for getting up in the morning and for how you mow your lawn, right? Some of these things are just in your head. You know how you're going to execute that system, okay? Like how you're going to do your line. Some people are, more picky than others. But we have systems. So systems aren't always in writing, but they still govern how we do things. Even if you think you don't, you already have systems in your business. Okay, so like procedures, framework, and methods. These are all things that we do just on a regular basis that might come second nature to us. But when we have employees and stuff, they're in our head, right? We don't have them on paper. We don't have checklists. And so who needs systems? And we say everyone. Have you guys seen that little meme going around for a while? My wife put that in there. I was like, sweetie, that really looks like you. She didn't like that too much. But we all have systems, but do they serve us well? Okay, so we have systems in our business now. We're like, hey, do we get up in the morning? When we go to the office, do we check the guys in? Do we do morning huddles? Or do we just let the guys kind of get their things and then they're off? We have systems, but do they really serve us well? What's a system that you guys use now that kind of serves you well? I'm going to put that out there. Checklists, yes. Love it.
I do the same thing kind of every day. I'll take 20 to 30 flyers, and I know I have 20 to 30, so I'm not coming home at least to those 20 to 30 out and I make the contacts. That's an unwritten system.
Yeah.
No matter what.
But that's in your head. Yeah, you're like, I got 30, I'm not coming back until these are gone. I got to talk to 30 people, right?
No.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so small business owners must break the code of implementing effective systems in their business. They want a really sustainable growth. Okay, so as you're scaling those businesses or those business, how do you get your employees to follow you? Because a lot of times it's all in us, it's in our head, and then we want them to follow our procedures and what we do because our business is a reflection of us, right? When I send an employee out to go to a customer's house, how are they going to act? What are they going to look like? How are they going to dress? These are all systems that you really got to get out of your head and put on paper. Kind of like my 19 points to a sale, if you will, right? So I was like, I want my sales rep, which is the first contact to my customer, that's got to be an awesome experience, right? So what are they going to look like? How are they going to present? Are they going to present in a way that I'm going to do it? Not necessarily. Not if I don't have checklists and, my steps to a sale, right? So these are things. So everybody needs systems. And we've all heard systems and systems. There's all these things. But what is a system for you guys? And what's the system you're going to put in? We're going to talk about that. So why do we need systems? So we have products, we have training, growth, and sanity. So I've kind of broken it down into 4 things here. So having systems produces a predictable product for your customers. They know what they're getting every time. So name some businesses that you know that comes to mind when you read that have systems in place. Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, right? Yes. And so they have that predictable service, that system. You know what it is. For McDonald's, hey, I know it's that crappy cheeseburger every time, right? But Chick-fil-A, I know they're going to say, what is their saying?
My pleasure.
My pleasure, right? I know I'm going to hear that every time I go to Chick-fil-A. That's their system. They ingrain it. Then we have training. So having systems means training is straightforward, repeatable, and easy. And I put easy here, but it's easier. It's never easy, it's easier. But employees are not confused about what is expected and can play to win, right? And this is the biggest thing is when they have a system, they know what the goal is, right? We talk about sales a lot because that's where I really got it in. And we did the same thing for our technicians on the service side because we had a big downfall of like the guys were running around. They were like, you know, they didn't have the things in the trucks and it was just this mess. And I was like, what in the world? I got sales dialed in. What happened over here, right? And so you push the ball sometimes in one department and you got to be focused on another. And so in this one, you know, we really had to systemize the procedures for them. And we started tracking and racing them. We actually had our wall of fame / shame in our office. And they're like, what is this, Pat? You know what I mean? And as we grow, we start putting different systems in place. You know, Doug was saying the other day, he's like, or actually earlier today, you were like, I put this system in and it worked for about 2 weeks. And my guys were like, not another system, right? And so when I started putting systems in place, like I was putting them in pretty, like every 2 weeks, it was a new thing. They're like, not another check sheet, Pat, not another check sheet. I'm like, yeah, man, we're going to get this. I'm going to ingrain it in your brain, you know? But we kept adding systems. And so, you know, we're going to talk more about the growth and stuff, but systems streamline growth by charting the course and helping everyone grow in the same direction. And then sanity. As the business owner, systems that serve you well are ones that save your headspace for planning, not for putting out fires. So, you know, we've all been there where we're putting out the fires and stuff, and we're like, what is going on? You know what I mean? We're like trying to pinpoint it. We're going to talk about more of how we really get that system and what system we need to work on next. So how do we implement systems? So we have to identify, we have to sort, and we have to choose, we have to engineer. And we talk about reverse engineering, right? And so you're identifying. So identify your weak areas, break your business down by development, and highlight areas that need attention. And then you got to sort them. So sort your problems or your problem areas by level of urgency. Where are you bleeding out at? So for me, that was the service side, right? We were bleeding out. The guys were, you know, showing up late. Their jobs were running over, and we were having this kind of thing going on. And I was like, okay, we need to really focus on the service department. And so what I did was I went in and I systemized all my trucks. And so for you guys that are just getting into the business, have that Chick-fil-A model in mind. Whether it's a booster pump, a 12 volt, you know, an air, whatever it is, keep all your trucks the same. And what I did was I had my brother-in-law come in, and he's really good with the woodworking, and so he built out the backs of all my service trucks. So if you go on my, you know, if you follow me and you go on my Facebook page, I have pictures, and we have 6 bins for all my 1-gallon jugs, gutter butter, F9, everything you need on a truck is there. We have toolboxes labeled, everything has a spot. So when we do our Friday inspections now, either myself, my ops manager, or my office manager, whoever's there, will go in on the trucks on Friday and they will check them in. They have to wash them, they have to rinse out the beds, they have to neutralize it, they have to send in pictures. And that was the system. We had a checklist. They had to literally, you know, go in there and check them off and sign off that they did it. That was the biggest thing, right? They had to sign and say they did it, not snap a picture from, you know, last week or send you a picture from last week and say, hey boss, got it done. No, you know what I mean? We wanted to have checks and balances, and so we created a sheet. Everything had its spot, and then we started not having so many issues. Everything was on a truck. You know, inventory started getting easier. We knew how much product we had when, right? If somebody was getting low on Bark 9, they'd be like, hey, you know, hey, here's a picture. They would send it into we use Flock, and Flock is like basically a text message app for our whole company, and they would send it in there, and then boom, my ops manager would have it, or we'd pull it off the shelf, and then if we didn't have it there, we'd order it, and usually that became really easy. So choose one thing you can correct that will solve multiple problems. If you guys heard the book, it's called The One Thing. It's a really good book, and it's called The One Thing. It talks about how you focus on the one thing that will eliminate 2 or 3 or 4 different things when you do that one thing. And so with the one thing, what is that for you? What is that in your business, right? If you're starting it right now, figure that out. You know, sort through that. Where are you bleeding? Because you want to keep that money in your company. You know, we were talking last night at dinner, we were like, yeah, if you don't know where that money's going, you know, the guys are getting overtime, they're turning that knob all the way up to 6, and your bleach is going down really fast. You're like, where's that going, right? We sign out, so we have a route sheet for every truck now. Piece of paper, route sheet. It has a checklist for what they need, just real quick, what they need. Usually the assistant tech in the truck will write down what they have on the truck. They look at the trucks, and then we write in how much SH they use per job throughout the whole day, right? Because you don't know, God forbid, they're pulling up next to your competition down the road on, you know, Highway 10, and they're like, hey man, yeah, you want some bleach? I got 100 gallons, boss. $50. You know what I mean? They're selling the bleach off your truck. They're like, yeah, we had a really big roof. I had to crank that thing up to 6. They're like, dude, you used 100 gallons a day. You're like, you clean one house. What are you talking about? Right? So you don't know systems, checks, and balances. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? When you're running 6 to 8 trucks a year, that's a lot of trucks. That's a lot of bleach. You know, we were talking about, you know, Ray has 900-gallon tank, you know? It's a lot of bleach. When you're running 6 trucks, we're pumping 100 gallons in each truck every day. Now we're talking about, you got guys on the clock. They're waiting for the next truck to fill up. How do you systemize that? So what we did was we said, okay, well, everybody fills up at the end of the day, because not everybody's there at the same time at the end of the day. They fill up their trucks, and then in the morning, they get their trucks, they get their paperwork, we do a morning huddle, we pray, boom, have a great day, guys, right? Systemize it. That saved us so much money just by doing that. You see what I'm saying? So focus on where you're bleeding. And then engineer, reverse engineer the problem. Work backwards from the weakness and write a system that will eliminate the struggle, right? And it can be easy. It doesn't have to be this, you know, sometimes our C comes out, right? You know, we're OCD, we're like, the system's gotta be perfect, it's gotta be this, or else I'm not doing it at all. You ever get like that? You're like, if it's not working, I'm burning this thing to the ground, right? We've all been there, right? And so, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Imperfect action is better than no action at all, right? Because it's gonna get better over time. You're always tweaking your business, okay? So just remember, reverse engineer whatever problem you have there. So this is really cool. So we have the 5 stages of business growth, guys. Take your phones out. I want you all to take your phones out. I'm gonna get a picture of you all doing it. But take your phones out, pull this up, and I'll do it at the same time for me, would you? That'd be pretty cool. I'll get like a little picture here. Sweet. All right, so pull that up. Who's got that up? So it's a QR code. So pull it up real quick. Let's get started. This is a checklist for your business, okay? So this is a little evaluation. This is a free document from Conquer. So Conquer did this. Yeah, pull this up real quick. And this is going to tell you, so just real quick, fill it out. Just say exterior cleaning company. Go in there. What's your first name? Put in that. And then it's the MAPS program.
Which you, exterior, other? Are you going other, or are you going exterior window?
Yeah, just put exterior, the very top one, whatever that is. Exterior window cleaning, that's fine.
Exterior window cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, working. It says tap to scan.
Are we filling this out?
So what
Yeah,
do you
just
do
fill
with
it
that
out real
after you
quick.
take the photo?
What's that?
What do you do with that after you take the photo?
So you just pull, you should be able to just put it up and then hit the link.
Do
Yeah,
it
hold
again.
it right on it.
It's a QR reader. Yeah, it'll look, that's what mine.
So watch mine. When I go to my camera, you just go right over it.
Your camera may.
and then
have it.
boom,
They may have it as an option.
and then you click on it, and then the form comes right up.
You don't have to hit the camera.
No, you don't take a picture, just.
You don't take a picture of it, just
See how it is.
hold it right over it.
Now, open, click on it.
Webpage, tap here.
It did something.
Well, we'll just do it off your.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, did you get it? Yeah, she got it.
Here, give
That's weird. Yeah, you might not have the app or something. That's weird.
I'm gonna do
He
it.
does have it? It might be zoomed in. Zoom in out a little bit. Right,
Tap to
technology.
scan.
Yep.
Yeah, he's gonna scan,
No.
scan, That's all right. We'll just do yours.
Yeah, hers came up. Did yours come up, Chet? Did yours come up?
No, I gave up. I
I
quit.
gave, he's like, I'm done. I'm done.
You gotta have all the
I
time.
quit.
All right.
So, well, yeah, look, I mean, a lot of them came up, right? Did everybody get that, hopefully?
It's an Android.
It's an Android? Oh, man. You know, smartphones, sometimes they're smarter than us. Oh, you got an Android too? Huh. Well, maybe you can send him the link. Or give him the link. So, but on here, if you guys get in there, right? So this is the 5 stages of business. They're really good questions in there. And you basically fill out 1 through 10 if it's in your head, or it's like a minimal viable system, or is it systemized? So fill out your scores. It's gonna rate your business on there, but it's gonna make you think, right? There's questions on there like, hey, is my sales fully automated, right? Do I have a fully automated follow-up sequence? Just really good questions that you can pull out, and then if you're like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, guess what you know you gotta work on? It's gonna tell you what department, with marketing, admin, production, and sales. It's called MAPS. And we have the MAPS Mastery Program too, you guys can check out, and we go a little bit more in depth in that. But what I want you guys to do is identify today, you know, what you need to work on in your business. Okay, if it's just you right now, you still wanna have a system. And so the biggest system for me was my invoice. How my invoice literally went throughout my whole office, right? From the start, when they called in, I took the lead, put it in the CRM, and then it got on my calendar, right? I went and quoted that estimate. What did I just say there? Quoted. Yeah, but I said estimate, not quote. But I did say quoted, so that's good. But yeah, and I said that too. Dang it, you got me. So, but you quoted it, right? And then you bring it back, and we have 3 bins in our office. So whenever we quote a job, it goes into the 9.9, which is almost a 10. That means it didn't close. We have a closed bin, and then we have a dead bin. We have 3 bins in our office. So all my territory managers put their ticket in one of those bins for the day. If it's in the closed bin, then my sales manager will go in there, he'll pull it out. And this is a system, right? So he'll actually go through all the numbers, make sure that they're accurate, make sure the packages are accurate. He'll call the customer, he'll like, hey, you know, Mrs. Jones, awesome, how's it going today? You know, Billy was out there, he quoted your property. Hey, just want to make sure that he answered all your questions, and just want to go over the ticket real quick. She's like, oh great, yeah, I got a couple minutes, perfect, let's go over the ticket. Yep, so I'm going with package B, this is X, X, and Y, right? So quoted everything, so we're on the same page. Now when it's approved, we have 3 initials on that ticket, okay? The sales rep signs on it, the manager signs on it, then it goes into dispatch. And this is key, so listen up. Goes into dispatch, dispatch now calls the customer and said, hey, you know, your ticket just hit my desk, this is dispatch, how's everything going? I'm gonna schedule your job, I have this date and this date available, which one works great for you? Never ask them when it's available, and we always book Monday through Friday because you never get Monday back. So if you book Friday to Monday, that doesn't really work out, right? Because what happens is when you start getting 5, 6 trucks on the road and you're booking, you know, Friday, Thursday, and whenever there is convenient for them, what happens is you might miss a day, and then your sales reps, say you're booked up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Monday and Tuesday you're not giving your sales reps, your territory managers, if you will, opportunity to go sell more jobs, right? So if I'm booked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm like, dude, we don't got any jobs on for Thursday, Friday, guess what we're doing? Those guys are going out there and they're getting me jobs to fill the day, right? So now we're being productive. We're doing productive dispatching. So the key with those 3 signatures is if a client, you do the service and they're like, they call you back, they're like, I didn't want this done. Has that ever happened to anybody in here? Right? I didn't approve that. Like, why'd you come do my house? Let me review. I got your ticket. I have 3 signatures saying that you approved it. My sales rep, my manager, and my dispatcher. So I don't know what's going on here, right? And then you figure out, I had a lawyer that actually went on vacation. She approved it, she was all excited. And we were booked out probably 3 weeks at that time. And she went on vacation and forgot all about it. She calls me back freaking out. You know what I mean? Freaking out. She got the bill, and it was like $1,300 or something, and she's freaking out. I didn't approve this work, and I'm a lawyer, and all, you know, and the lawyer, she's like, oh, I'm a lawyer, and I'm like, yeah, I've heard that before, right? So she tries to scare you, and I'm like, well, ma'am, we have 3 signatures from 3 different people saying that you approved the work. And then she really started rethinking it, and she called back a couple days later, and she apologized. She's like, I'm so sorry. You know, I got a couple estimates. I remember now talking with your sales rep, you know what I mean, and all that stuff. And so sometimes they just don't know. They're busy, right? And we talk about those high-end clients. Sometimes they're just crazy busy. They're like, they'll have the little D, and they're like, let's get it done. All right, let's do it. And then they're like, wait a minute, I didn't want that. What they really are saying, I didn't want that $1,300 bill or whatever it was, right? Is what it was. And so you just gotta friendly remind them what's going on. All right, so we're going to be talking about maintaining systems. So those were some of my systems right there that I used. The biggest one was the invoice, number 1, okay? That was the invoice, how it went throughout the office. Number 2 was getting my ops side on systemizing my trucks, having the inventory on there, and then having my weekly checklist on the trucks, because I'm picky about the trucks. They got to be clean. Like, we're a cleaning company, we better look the part. I mean, tires shine on the tires. You know, back when I first started, I was in auto detailing. So I was really, really picky. So I'm like, yeah, no, you're going to have to wash that again. They're like, oh. You know what I mean? My guys hate me for it, but the trucks, like, they got to last. Like, dude, that's your work truck. If you don't take care of it and rust it out, I mean, then what? The truck breaks, and then I'm not putting you on another one, you know? Another system we have brand new trucks to older trucks. Because when I first started, I ruined my credit. I had a guy, you know, we grew through the recession, and in 2008, I had a guy say, oh yeah, we're buying properties and mobile homes, but there's no water, but I'm gonna give you like 15 of them every week. And I'm like, 15? I was at like $500, and I was like, sweet. You know what I mean? That seems really good. So I was like, all right. Credit card, bought a trailer, 2 water tanks, like I had to bring water on site, bought some new machines. I'm like, dude, we are living it, right? Had my Dodge 1500 pickup. It was 1500 with a long bed. Anyway, I dropped a drive shaft, cut it right in half, pulling out one day. But anyway, that's a different story. So I bought all these things, right? Maxed out too. And then he's like, oh, by the way, our company just went belly up. And I'm like, I'm living in an apartment complex. My trucks are in the RV parking. And he just told me that their company went belly up, and I just maxed out 2 credit cards. I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm doing freaking good. Good business decision. Okay. So what happened was, I said, all right, you know, I owned up to it. I'm like, all right, no big deal, you know, whatever, we're gonna be renting for the next 20 years, we'll figure it out, right? We'll figure it out. And so what I did was, I got commercial jobs, and when I got, and I'll never forget this, guys, I went to my first event in Charleston, and I had an Astro van. My water tank was in the Astro van. I had 2 seats. I had 2 kids at the time. They were ratchet strapped to the floor. The ratchet straps were welded to the floor. Like that matters, so I mean, but it was, right? So I tried to justify it was safe. So they're ratchet strapped behind, and you know, we drove down to my wife's parents' house. You know, a little bit of my story. My dad was never in the picture. My mom had to mentally, she was disabled, right? She had mental schizophrenia. So I actually brought her down from New York. But to go to this event, we had to drop our kids off at my mother-in-law's house. And on the way down there, we had a mattress in the back of the van to sleep in because I couldn't afford the hotel. You know, it was like $80 at the time. I'm like, I just don't have the money. You know, the gas to get down there and everything. And I was like, really searching what God wanted me to do and like what my next steps were. And I didn't know anything about business. And at that time, I was just getting into like pressure washing. You know, wasn't doing roof cleaning. And so I went to that event, and me and my wife were sitting there, and the guys right in front of me was like, yeah, man, I sprayed this stuff on the roof, and you know, 4 hours later, it was clean, and I walked away with a $1,000 check. I'll never forget, like, looking at my wife, and I was like, there's no way. There's no way that stuff just disappeared, right? Because back 14 years ago, roof cleaning was a full contact sport. And so, you know, we really had to dive into that, and we started getting more roof cleaning jobs. When I got back, you know, I hired a business coach, and that's where I started putting the systems in place. And I got my first commercial job was in 2012. And I remember after I got the check, so I got like 2 or 3 different checks. So we broke it up because I was like, I had to pay for bleach and I had to, you know, all that stuff. So I said, hey, and it took a month. It was like $65,000, our biggest job. I had my business coach tell me I couldn't do it. I had a lot of people, that's way too big of a job for you. You can't clean that with a 12-volt pump, right? And I was like, come hell or high water, I'm doing that job, right? And so that was the Marriott that I was talking about the other day. And I sat in front of, you know, 19 managers, owners, and I really broke it down. And I'm, you know, shoot, I was 25 at the time, and they're like, you're gonna clean my Marriott, you know? And I had the Dodge pickup. I still have the pictures. It wasn't wrapped, it had just the logo, and I was like, yes sir, here's the map. These are the 250 pictures that I took. This is how I'm gonna do it, because I went to training events, I got educated, I learned some buzzwords, right? And so I got there educated. I mean, these guys were stellar. I mean, I was scared. I'm pretty sure I left a wet spot on that seat, man. I was sweating bricks. So they're like, all right, let's get it done. And I was like, holy cow. So we did, we got it done, you know what I mean? And then when I got that final check, I took my wife, I picked her up, and I said, hey, we're going to buy you a van. Because I felt like I was rich, guys. No joke, right? And so I went, and we were in the Astro van, and I said, we're going shopping. And I pulled in, and we got an '01 Honda Odyssey. Had the flip down TV. Yeah, it was VHS, but you know, we were living big. Like, I mean, I'm tearing up just thinking about it, because you know what I mean? I never had that. I never was able to provide like that, right? And so that was just really big, and we grew from there to putting the money back in the business, buying all of the vehicles, cash money, right? So we were debt free, and I remember buying 5 vehicles in 1 year. So it was 3 sales vehicles and 2 work trucks. And again, they were, you know, they weren't the best, right? Okay, so they were $2,000 Chevy Cobalts. I put a little $900 wrap on there, and I stuck a guy in it. I was like, go sell. You know, and I kind of broke the mold with the territory manager thing, and I said, I had the system, and I really got systemized as far as the sales goes. That was the biggest thing, because that's the engine that drives the beast. Then I started working on the systems in the operation side. So that's how we kind of started figuring out, you know, where it was broken, because we ran into headaches, and I'm putting out fires, and I'm like, I can't keep doing this, you know? And then I started putting those systems in place, checklists, and the guys started liking it. They had a better, you know, time at work. And then we started building the culture. And so that's how the systems came in. So now what we're going to talk about is maintaining those systems. Because how many people put systems in place, they last for about what? 2 weeks max. And then all of a sudden everything's going great, and then you're like, hey, how's that going? Yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. What do you mean, dude? I like worked hard on that. Why aren't you using it? They're just like, well, you know, yeah, we're not doing it. And I'm like, dang it, right? So we started like checklists, even to like the scripts, right? To where they're talking to the customers. I'm like, hey, we want to do 3 things for you today. And I was like, all right, guys, this is where we had our morning huddle and everything. Everything's going good. They're like, all right, I'm excited. You guys are going to get upsells by doing these things. And, you know, 2 weeks later, they're not doing it. And we're going to talk about why. Because remember, we talked about those checks and balances. But what does that look like? Okay, what does maintaining systems look like? So that looks like this. If your systems are going to work, you have to actually use them. So wow, can't even read today. Ever tried something new and forgot about it in 2 weeks? We've all done that, right? We forgot about it. We didn't check on it later on. I've done this with managers, you know, I'm like, hey, we're gonna put this on your calendar, and then I didn't check, I didn't follow up. Or if I'm like, hey, I need a report by this time on Friday before 5 o'clock, right? And if it went over a minute and he didn't have it, and I didn't get the report, now I call him and I say, hey, by the way, I really need that report. Because sometimes I don't need the reports every week, but I want to know they're getting done because they have their eye on the ball, right? And so I didn't do that all the time. And I was like, man, you know, I get comfortable, and we get comfortable in business, and we're like, it's running smooth, I'm gonna go do this over here, but you're not holding them accountable, so that's when things drop off, right? You don't have the eye on the ball. And so how do we keep the systems functioning? And it all boils down to accountability, holding them accountable to that system, like checking in on them, you know, making sure they're using Flock. With my inspections and stuff, if they don't have pictures and everything, if they don't have it in before 4:30 on Friday, somebody is reaching out and saying, hey, I really need those pictures. Because they get bonused on what gets done that week. So if they don't have the pictures, it ties to their pay. And so it all has a line where my office manager has to get the pictures so she can put it into the payroll, so then my payroll guy can put it on payroll so he gets that percentage of the week. But if they don't do it, guess what? They're like, Pat, I didn't get my bonus last week. I'm like, really? I'm like, wow, man, I don't think we got pictures either. You know, and you bring it back to them. You know, and they're like, oh, shoot. You know what I mean? I've had guys like miss out on a couple $100 in a week because they didn't do what they needed to do. Now, if they don't do what they need to do, it disrupts all the other steps. Now my office manager's off task. You know, she's not getting what she needs to be done because she's waiting on this guy. So it's really important to hold them accountable, right? I had a guy one time. We got really strategic. It was keeping the trucks or something, and they didn't do it on Friday. They just dropped the truck off and went home. And my office manager called me. I was out training, and I was like, not a problem. We'll deal with it on Monday. I said, make sure that he gets his check though, handwritten, not direct deposit, right? So the next week. And so I didn't sign the check. So he got his check, and guess what he's doing on Friday afternoon when he's trying to cash it? He's calling the office, he's calling me. He's like, dude, you didn't sign the check. You didn't sign the check. I'm like, oh man, did I forget that? Kind of like when you forgot to wash your truck and do your truck inspection. You know, hey, call me Monday. And the guy's like, whoa, he was mad, because that was his, you know, money over the weekend. Tough crap, man. Like, if you don't take care of your trucks, that bleach is sitting in the back of the truck, you know? I'm like, oh yeah, you forgot. So now we talk about it all the time. You're like, yeah, don't forget, because if Pat forgets, you ain't getting paid. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hurt their pocket. But it is. It's all accountability. So checklists and reports are the name of the game. So I gave you guys that checklist yesterday. I hope that you're gonna implement that, okay? Those are little checklists. You guys can think on that now and build other checklists for your company. But start out now. If it's just you, do checklists for you. Learn the system now, so then you can start replicating as you bring people on. So the Maps Mastery program on there is really gonna open your eyes to what are systems and what needs to be in your business, and that's why we want to give that to you for free. So all that.
You actually have like checklists for literally like putting fuel in the truck.
That's
So-
what I'm gonna ask. Do you have for every job? I mean, like, make sure all the fittings are there, all the
I don't get too crazy, to be honest with you. Like the training videos are dumbed down to how you fill this. Don't put your hand on the exhaust. Like how to strap the ladders down, you know. But we do have checklists for accountability on those videos, and we're always training our team. As far as when you're getting in that truck, you have to walk around the truck before you drive it, right? Check your ladders. Those are checklists that are in the truck at all times. We have cheat sheets in the truck that actually have mix ratios for like rust removal, gutter butter, gutter cleaning, all that kind of stuff. We have a cheat sheet, and then we have our SDS sheets, but also what they need to do checklist-wise on the truck. We do have a lot of checklists, like even for new hires. We have a training checklist for every new hire, and they go on with a trainer. That trainer has a checklist, a new hire checklist. Like we went over gutter butter today. We went over roof spray techniques today. We cleaned windows today. So that at the end of the week, he's hopefully had everything, because it takes time to train on everything, especially hands-on. But we have that checklist that goes in his company folder, because we've had guys say, and that, they've been trained by my ops manager, like, he never showed me that. And I'm like, I know he has. You know what I mean? I know he just wasn't paying attention, or he doesn't remember. Now we have a system. They're like, oh, really? He didn't show you that? Well, let me pull out your training card. Oh, actually, you signed off that he did show you. So why aren't you doing it correctly, right? And that's where you have those one-on-ones and stuff. So we do have a lot of checklists But I don't go too crazy in depth, just the overview for that accountability aspect. And then we bring it into the morning huddles and say, hey guys, you know, how's everything going on the truck? Like, are we walking around the truck? Are we backing them in? And they're like, well, and then you can kind of see their faces like, and then like the lead tech and the assistant, they're like, maybe not, you know what I mean? And then I'll pinpoint that, I'll say, guys, we have to do this. And then I'll tell them a story, right? You guys heard all kinds of crazy stories that happen in our industry with ladders coming off trucks and, you know, going through a minivan and killing families. Like, that's bad, bad stuff, and that can cripple your company. So I tell them those stories so they know and they learn from other people, right? And that's where that comes in. But it is accountability. But remember, old habits die hard. So checklists are necessary to override old ways of doing things and for training new employees. You know, we've all kind of been there where we're like, I want to hire someone that's already did it and I don't have to train them, right? We've been there? Okay? It sucks, I'm going to be honest with you, man, because if you get a guy that's pressure wash stuff and then you're like, you come into our company and they're like, dude, why don't you just pressure wash that and get it done? And I'm like, no, we don't do that. You got to use this, and you know what I mean? Then you're kind of retraining, and then the guy is always like, let's turn this thing all the way up, whack it, and get done because they want to get in now. That's not what we're about, right? And then that's where it goes to the company culture, the checklist, and then the accountability aspect of pop inspecting jobs. You know, how is the assistant tech? You know, break those up. So anyway, it's just fun, and you make it fun, but you know, old habits die hard. So remember that kind of stuff. That person might need a little bit more training, whatever it is. It might be you know what I mean? It might be you have some old habits from somewhere else and now you're getting into soft washing and you're like, oh, I need some checklists, right? Or we just have it in our head and we know exactly how to execute this, but you want to put more systems in place because you know it's good for growth. You may need a checklist, right? So you hold yourself accountable so you don't cut the corner or whatever it may be. Oh wow, all right, so you're busy. Reports are necessary to keep you in the loop and the new system in the forefront of your mind. So again, reports, like we do from the very beginning when I started doing sales, I wrote a report that basically said, okay, where are my leads coming from? What is my close ratio as a sales rep for my company so I can gauge and, you know, have somebody else come on and know what it should be and what it shouldn't be, right? And so it started off with that as far as a weekly report, and then we started doing production reports, and then we started doing like all kinds of kind of fun reports, and some things died off. You know, you're like, well, I don't really need all that information. We can get it here. So you'll see kind of that kind of stuff happen too as you're putting in systems and as far as reporting. But, you know, numbers don't lie, and make it fun. Make it rewarding for them. Bonus them on those kinds of things. And then practice makes perfect. So nothing sticks without practice, okay? That's when your meetings come into play. That's when your role playing comes into play. That's when you jump on a truck and you go out with the guys and you're showing spray techniques. You're going over the checklist. You know, I would train my guys right from the gate, like right in the morning. Our morning, whatever our routine was, that's what it needed to be. I wanted every truck to do the same exact thing. Check the inventory, check your tips. Because, you know, somebody could have went in there at night afterwards and said, well, I've lost my 3-banger. I'm going to go in that truck and take it, right? So guess what I did? I spray painted I color coded every truck. And I spray painted every piece of thing. So if there was a red one in a blue truck, dude, he's getting the elbow. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? You know? And so, like, when you're running 5 trucks, I mean, little thing, it disappears. Where'd my telescoping pole go for gutter cleaning? Well, the last guy on the other truck dropped it off a roof and it broke. He didn't tell me, and he took it off that guy's truck and put it on there. I'm like, guys, you're killing me, dude. I'm gonna be in the loony bin here. You know what I mean? Like, so we had to systemize it, right? We had to color code everything. Every truck has a number, and it's that colored on that truck, and so it really helps out. You know what I mean? Like, that's their truck. We got ownership. We just started putting things in place to really ease the system, and that really, really helped. So compile all systems into an operations manual, adding and modifying as you go. So what I did was in the very beginning, I just got a 1-inch binder, and I had my check sheets, and I had what I would do like in the day or in the life of a lead tech. What does that look like, right? And I started getting on, Word document. I started typing, at nighttime. I was like, this is what I envisioned my company to be. I started writing it all out. And then I started putting it in that 1-inch binder, you know, and it just started growing and growing, but it started off in that 1-inch, maybe 5 or 6 pieces of paper, just real small, you know, in the life of a lead tech, in the life of an assistant tech, what that looked like, what the reports needed to be, what they needed to fill out, and I wanted to just walk and envision all that stuff, and that's what I did. And I put that in place, and that was my, you know, manual. And then we started obviously doing safety and all that stuff, and then incorporating videos later on, because we all have smartphones. And then I got Talent LMS, and I started putting everything on YouTube, and then making it, I think it's like a, well, you can't see the link, I forget what it's called, unlisted link, and then adding that to my Talent LMS. And then I had like, literally, like just videos of me just in front of the camera saying, hey, this is our company culture, you know, welcome to Precision Pro Wash. Corny stuff, and you're like looking back at these videos, you're like, oh my word, I can't believe I'm showing people this. But it doesn't matter, because imperfect action's better than no action at all. They get on it, they're buying into that, right? And so we would do training videos just out of the truck, walking around, what that needed to look like, and we would put them through some, you know, video training, and then we would do outside training. And so putting it in the manual really helped. We would give it to the guys, and they're like, not another one, but you know, we would read it over, and we would just drill it in and drill it in. You know, nobody likes that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't like sitting down at the computer writing manuals. I hate doing that. I'd rather be out selling, talking to people, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I know if I do this stuff now, it's gonna benefit me later on, right? So if I do this stuff now and I video this now, I might not have to do that 2-3 years down the road. I don't have to repeat myself, right? All right, so supply manuals for each position to employees. So again, we had job descriptions right from the gate. Job descriptions for every employee. This was huge because now they know what I expect of them, right? And we had lead tech, assistant tech, what that looked like, ops manager, we had our office manager. We started putting those in place, and now they're like, all right, so now when I had company meetings, you know, I sucked at company meetings, I'll tell you that. Right from the gate, I sucked. Now I'm a little better, I'm still not very good, right? But I go over the job description. I say, hey, you know, how's everything going? Are you executing on these things, you know? And then on the service side, we have our in-field service thing where we actually grade them and like how we can improve, because I want to better everybody. You know, anybody that comes into my company, I want them to leave my company better than they showed up. Whether it's, you know, family-wise, business-wise. I had one guy that stunk. I'm serious, man. That guy, I had to have a talk with that guy. I was like, dude, have you heard of this new stuff? It's called Old Spring. You know what I mean? And but you do that kind of stuff, and sometimes they don't realize, or they're in a funk, you know, that kind of stuff, and you got to lift them up, you got to get them out. I just want everybody that comes into my company a little bit better, whether it's through checklists, systems, and how I run the company, or if it's just, you know, just the culture and we love up on each other, you know, and that's what it's all about. So add deadlines for reports to their calendars, and then hold them to those dates and times. Don't let 5 minutes pass without gentle reminders. So consider typing performance pay, or tying performance pay to reporting, and make it fun. You know, with us, you know, we don't get paid unless a job gets done, you know what I mean? And so I like tying performance pay, right? So like they get bonuses on if they get reviews, and they get bonuses on doing production in the day. I make it fun, sales and service-wise. And so make it fun, you know, don't overthink systems. Let's just put the basic systems in place right now, you know, to get you to the next phase. And use the maps, you know, and see what you guys need to really work on. I'm going to open it up to questions. I think that, it's the last slide here. So I'm going to open up to some questions on some systems for you guys that maybe you're doing now, maybe that they are not working for you. And let's talk about that real quick. Yes, sir.
Do you feel comfortable sharing how you do that performance pay, like breaking it down to little dollars, like for a review and things like that?
Yeah, so for technicians for reviews, we do $10, and so sometimes our guys will, like, you know, if the lead tech gets one, or the assistant tech, or you can do 5 and 5. I just do $10 to make it fun. And then we have the other performance pay is we do 1% and 2% of that. So they get 1% if they do over $8,000 in that week. And then if they get another percent if the truck is cleaned and they did all their due diligence throughout the week. So they have to show up on time every day. they have to do their checklist and their truck has to get cleaned, and that ties to 1%. So you're talking 1% of $8,000, right? Is $80, and so that, I mean, that's a significant amount, and that can add up over the month. So that's what I do there. Yeah. Did you guys have a question over here?
It might be a little off, but I wanted to know, how long did it take you to get to that part? How long do you think it take?
To do like the,
to get to the hiring guys and stuff, and like, is there
So-
a certain amount of money you think you should have until you start doing that, you know?
so when we started hiring and putting people in place, so it varies for everybody really, right? So if you've ever hired anybody, if you haven't hired anybody, you definitely want to have some revenue coming in. So like I'll usually start off on a truck with a helper and get that thing going to about $4,000 or $5,000. But some other people will like, hey, I need to put 2 trucks right, or 2 guys right in there, and then I'm selling. So you got to figure out what your abilities are and what that looks like for you. Because some people are like, I just want 2 technicians, I'm going to sell and then keep that truck busy. Or in the beginning, you know, some people take it more conservative, like I'm going to work, I'm going to get a helper, and then once that truck starts getting too busy and you can't handle the phones, that's when you're like, okay, I need to get a lead tech right away. Or your assistant tech is your lead tech. You're just training that guy to take your spot within, you know, a month, and then stick him with an assistant that's, hey, who wants to water plants, right? I mean, the assistant tech isn't that hard of a position, and he can learn from that lead tech, and as you're doing meetings and stuff, but you're out selling, booking that truck up even more. And we're gonna talk more about the growth this afternoon, how I built the team, so that'll touch a little bit more on that as well. Yes?
When you go out and take these pictures that go with their bonus, that are tied in with the bonuses, or say for their customer profiles, are you just using your iPhone, or do you take a digital camera, a professional one, like when you did the Marriott pictures, because there's like 250 pictures? What do you use for which types of jobs, and when does the drone come in, you know, that kind of stuff, like?
No, that's great. That's a great question. So usually our drone is only high-end stuff, like big projects, right? We do take the professional pictures when we're doing high scale, like the Marriott and stuff like that. Those are professional pictures on our, you know, on our LSR or whatever you call it. But I just went to Walmart and printed out all the pictures, and then I put them into like a little picture book, and then, you know, I had them all in there, what surfaces, and I would give that. I do that actually for every big project that we do. I have before and after pictures. Yeah.
So when you made that, that's what you approach the customers with, that book, when you go try to get your...
So our book now is a lot better, but yeah, that's our company portfolio with really nice pictures and like before and afters and stuff like that. Yes, that's really looking good.
Or do you just use the same one?
Say that again?
Do you leave that book with them? Or
No, the book is $100. It costs $100. So like they're like, it's skinny, and you're like, sometimes they're like, can I, are you leaving this? I'm like, no, actually I gotta take that. So I use my packet though, my actual folder with all my documentation. We got Ray.
Could you speak to the point of how all of these checklists really wind up helping with your company culture? And so now your employees aren't saying, yeah, I helped some guy pressure wash. You know, even your assistant tech isn't going, well, yeah, where do you work at? Oh, I helped some guy pressure wash. I mean, I've met your team guys. Your people are like, man, I work for precision. And so all of this, like I said, talk about the company culture, how this builds.
Yeah, so like they're thinking of it as a company now, right? So like I'm actually, they have their direct reports, so when they talk to me and stuff, they don't go to me. My technicians don't go to me. So now it's an appearance of a huge company right from the gate. I mean, when I was running 2 trucks, they're like, this company's going somewhere. I work for Precision, right? And we actually spelt out precision. Each letter means something, right? From the roots of like all the blood, sweat, and tears. And so I sell them on that whole vision. And then I'm like, look, these checklists are gonna make you more professional to the customer. Not just going out there, putting your finger in the air and like, I work for a pressure wash company. No, I work from a home detailing company. So yeah, a checklist and everything makes it more professional. You're gonna have, your quality of people are gonna go up, right? From the background checks to all that stuff. You're gonna get a more dedicated candidate and everything. Yeah.
How did you come up with the packages?
A, B, and C?
Like what you're gonna sell? Like the roof, like the different deals or something like that? Like, how
So,
do-
well,
did
we
you
quote
set that?
everything, right? So we quote everything on the property. So C is everything. B is what I think I'm gonna do on the house. So like, if you're an exterior cleaning, so if you're doing the roof, like I'm gonna do the gutters, because I know if I clean the roof, it'll run down on the gutters sometimes and streak them, and then they're like, that doesn't really look good, right? So I know what I'm gonna kind of package together, and that's gonna come with experience too. On when I started the company, I was like, I didn't, I was cleaning houses, but I didn't clean behind the gutters. You know what I mean? And so the homeowner, the lady comes out, she's like, oh, it looks awesome. Well, but you didn't clean behind the gutters. And I was like, shit, I never really thought about that. Like, you know what I mean? So then I'm like, all right, well, I'll do it. So I just take, rinse behind the gutters, and there's, little minute things. But now, every job after that, guess what I do? I rinse behind the gutters because I don't want to have to roll my hoses back up and then clean behind the gutters on the house. So if they want that, then other people are going to want it. Same with packages. If they're like, hey, I really like my roof, my gutters, and my driveway, because sometimes we do like free driveway with roof cleaning, because all I'm doing is, at the end of the day, rinsing out my pump and cleaning their driveway, So we do different things like that to where we know and we tailor it to that homeowner.
Say is what you experiencing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I built them. And then A is what they call for, no less than your minimum. And so that's where we do our $400 or $500 minimum on package A. And then we just build it from that. Great question though. Yeah.
You and Ray, Doug, you guys, is your systems built up enough now, your company can operate, keep flowing without you guys?
Yep. Yeah, so a year and a half ago, I broke my leg in 3 places. I was out for a year and a half. I didn't go to the office for a year and a half. It ran by itself. God is really good. The team was strong at that point. If I was 2 years prior to that, we would have been hurting. Like honestly, I didn't have the directors in place. The technicians, my lead techs and stuff like that weren't, I guess you say weren't what they are now. So the team is really, really strong. And I think, Ray, he can travel as well. And, his guys, we run it, right? Is it perfect? No. Remember, imperfect action is better than no action. Yeah, we still have hiccups and we still deal with things, right, that arise. But yes, I don't have to be involved in that. This year with 2020 hit us a little bit, right? Because I have older territory managers, so a lot of them left, their wives didn't want to work in. So this year I'm going to be a little bit more involved, hiring back the team and getting it built back up a little bit. But you're always going to have this, a little bit of ride there. Things happen with people, right? Life changes.
You could go into probably any of our offices right now after listening to us and going, oh, you sit here and you listen to Peggy, like, he is so on the ball and he's got this, his checklist and it's perfect. And you look at Ray and you're like, he's so good looking and his hair is But I guarantee you're going to walk into our offices and go, this is messy. This is, but it's better to do something that, none of us sit here and go, man, we've got it on the ball, this is awesome, this is incredible. I spent this morning in the lobby talking to my lead tech going, okay, I totally forgot how to wash this 3-story roof that I'm on. It's never going to be as easy as we say it is. But you just have to do, Confucius, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, and you just have, and you can make something beautiful, and it's never as easy as we sit here and say it is, but at least it's doing something out there. And, I spent January, even though we had an awesome, $70,000 January, and I spent 2 weeks of it on the road, traveling and training. And, we're very blessed to be able to do it. But it's never going to be perfect. And don't sit here and think, I can't do this, because you absolutely can.
Yep.
How do you pick your lead tech? What do you look in a lead tech? To make sure, that's one of the hardest things I have.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing in a service business, right, is employees. Everybody, that's what it is. So we've dialed it into where we do a working interview. So when we're hiring somebody, we're asking qualified questions. There's a company called Blue Skies Recruiting, and they always say, always be recruiting. And so we've hired them this year to go ahead and do that because they have it dialed in. As far as, because I was paying like $500-600 on Indeed, running these ads all the time, getting people in, because you gotta have the revolving door. You're always gonna have somebody that's a, you know, low man on a toll pole, or, you know, baby's daddy's mama, whatever, had that issue, and you're like, dude, I love you, man, but it's not working out, right? And so,
That's another question, where's that fine line of saying, hey, I mean, you're a great guy, but you're not here? I mean,
we can go really in depth in that, to be
Right.
honest, but what you need is somebody that, you know, if they're honest, they have integrity, like they show up on time, they're clean cut, like you can see if they're, you know, if they're built, right? They're
Right.
kind of an outdoorsy guy, they love the outside, they love people, ask them about what they like.
Right.
Some of these guys have some awesome questions I heard earlier about, you know, hiring these people, but then take them out and say, all right, let's put your mouth, you know,
Right.
see if you can do it. Let's see if you can talk the talk. Because a lot of people, you know, they're all talk, but they can't do the walk,